Hey, what's going on, guys? So Doom: The Dark Ages just got a pretty interesting update, and this one is one of those patches that is not just a random bug sweep. It actually changes how a few key pieces of the game feel in moment-to-moment combat. The biggest theme here is that ID Software is tuning combat balance, especially around a few weapons and enemy interactions, while also fixing some nasty progression bugs and crash issues at the same time. The first thing that stands out is the balance work. The Skullcrusher Ravager got adjusted so it now takes more damage before standard enemies start dropping ammo and health, and that same change also applies to Vagary enemies and Zalgoroth the Imprisoned. On top of that, it deals less damage to the Pain Elemental now, so this weapon is clearly being nudged a little away from just deleting everything without much thought. Then you have Tormentor, the Chain Spear Mythic Orbit upgrade, and that got a bigger tuning pass. Repeated use against heavy demons, super heavy demons, and the henchman now has diminishing returns, which means the orbit duration and angle shrink if you keep leaning on it. Continued use can even disable the post-orbit lock-on, so the game is pushing you to use it more carefully instead of turning it into a one-size-fits-all answer. It also does less damage to Vagary enemies while active. And for the Dreadmace, if you have Riposte active and a second swing ready, the backhand attack now comes out first, which is a small change, but in a fast fight, that kind of timing can matter a lot. There is also a noticeable tweak to Osseus in the endgame Praetor fight. The Cyberdemon spawn conditions and defensive roles were adjusted so they have a bigger impact in that encounter. That sounds like one of those changes you might not fully appreciate until you get back into the fight and realize the enemies are behaving with a bit more weight behind them. It is not just about raw difficulty either. It is more about making that section feel like the game wants you to respect the Cyberdemons instead of treating them like background noise. A lot of the rest of the patch is aimed at fixing annoying edge cases that can ruin a run. The Chain Spear got a pair of important fixes, including one where attempting a Glory Strike or Synced Execution during a second Spear Slash could leave the player without hands, which is the kind of bug that sounds ridiculous until it happens to you mid-fight. Another fix stops the haste upgrade from disabling Dash Pass. Bosses got attention too, with Marok now properly targeting the player while attacking, and Zalgoroth the Imprisoned having a couple of serious issues cleaned up, including Glory Strikes causing the player to fall through the floor, and Holy Swarm Shield Rune Daggers failing to spawn after parrying projectiles. There are also fixes for enemies getting the player stuck near walls, an Acolyte Leader teleporting into an ice wall, Archvile slipping outside the Osseus arena, and floor clipping in that same area. So this update is doing a lot of invisible work that should make the game feel way less janky when a fight gets messy. The UI and level fixes are the kind of thing players usually feel more than they notice, which is probably the best sign a patch is doing its job. Melee pip icons no longer stay visible after turning the option off. Blank Slayers Club and account creation QR codes are fixed after returning to the main menu. The Slayers Club page display error on PlayStation 5 is sorted out, and Shield Saw Teeth should no longer disappear from the shield HUD after throwing the shield. New users also will not see the bind reset dialog anymore, which is a nice quality of life cleanup. On the level side, Hell's Core had an exploit fix that let the flamethrower cart wipe out the Revenant leader too quickly, plus a checkpoint issue that could trap players after picking up the blue skull key. Chasm of Zalgoroth had a mantle bug fix that could push the player into the ceiling when platforms returned, and Osseus got a fix for a confessional stone interaction that could permanently break save progress. That last one is a big deal because save problems are the kind of thing nobody wants to discover the hard way. There are also a couple of crash fixes here, including a rare crash during Atlan gameplay sequences and a combat-related crash in Proving Grounds on PlayStation 5. And while the update solves a lot, there is still one known issue being called out, which is in Chasm of Zalgoroth during Endgame. If you re-enter the classic level encounter more than once during a single visit, the player can get permanently trapped in that area, so the warning is simple enough: just do not keep entering it again before leaving or reloading. Overall, this update feels like a mix of combat tuning and cleanup, and the big takeaway is that the game should feel a little tighter, a little more stable, and a lot less likely to throw a weird bug at you in the middle of a run.